What is going on, guys? This is the Mafia Garage here, and today I'm going to be working on the Toyota Sera in the garage. So it's pretty cold outside, so that's why I'm working on it inside the garage. I already did the front struts, but that's in another video. I will link the video in the description below. But I wanted to make it like kind of a two-part series because the front suspension took a little bit and I didn't want to elongate the video. So I just thought I should just separate the video and make the rear struts a separate video, because you do have to remove the interior trim pieces in order to reach the two nuts that hold the strut in place. So I will be showing how to remove the interior trim, and then I'm going to remove the wheels and I'm going to show you guys how the struts are. I did purchase some struts off eBay. These are for a 92 to 95 Toyota Paseo, but it looks to be exactly identical to the Toyota Sera. Mine's a 1990 Sera. The front struts did fit. If you guys watched the other video from a 92 Toyota Paseo, it did fit with no issues at all. So I have a good feeling that this one will fit. And if it doesn't fit, then I'll definitely let you guys know. If it does, then we're just going to continue on with the video. But yeah, I'm going to just take this apart, remove the interior apart. I would like to record it in real time, but unfortunately, I'm a one-man stand, so I'm going to record it piece by piece and show you guys exactly what I did. My process so far, as you can see down here, I removed this front panel. I removed the cover on the bottom right here that covers up the spare tire, and they're all sitting over there. I removed one of the top seats, and I'm about to do the other one, and I will do the bottom ones, but I just wanted to show you guys exactly what I did so far. So this cover is held on by 4 of these type of snap-in retainers. So these, I use a screwdriver, I use a flathead, and I pried it up on one side, and I used another flathead and I pried it up on the other side, and then it came up. Now what you could do, instead of using a screwdriver, and I do have this tool, I just wanted to show you guys both methods because I remembered I had this tool. I use this. So this is a trim removal tool, and I just pried it right under and then I snapped it up after I used the screwdrivers. But you can use both ways, but this is much easier. Alright, so that was removed, and now this rear right here is sitting over here, and you guys can see on the rear of it has all these snap-in tabs. So they all snap in. There's nothing. This one was already like that. I need to fix that and bend it back straight, but everything just snaps right in. So what I did was, while this was in here, I removed this window sealer trim right here. I pulled it back and it gave me some room to put my hand in there. As I put my hand in here, I put my right hand right here, and there's like a little, so you can put your fingers right there, and I was pulling both ways so that way it won't break anything. And I was pulling, and as I was snapping out, I did the top first, and then I was going to the bottom, and then as I was pulling it with the outside. So use both hands to pull it out. It won't break or anything, but just it's best to have 2 hands to pull it out instead of just one, just yanking it. You could possibly break something, but use both hands to remove it, and it just pulls right up and right out like that. Alright, so put this over here. Alright, so for the top portion of the seat, there is a 10mm bolt right there, and there's a 12mm bolt. So a 10 and then a 12. I don't know if there was another 10 right there. I didn't see any for my seats, but if there is, I'm sorry, because there's a lot of bolts and nuts that are not that weren't even on here in the first place. So, but that's the gist of it. So that's a 10 mil, that's a 12, and then this, you have to bring it back up, and then it will unhook from these. These are just, they have to be sitting up straight, and then the seat will come out, because this is basically not going to come up with the bracket sitting up like that. And then for the rear seats, you have to unbolt this. This is a 10 millimeter. This is basically like an anchor for the rear seat. And then these rear seats, you just go right under them and you pull them right up. As you pull them right up, it will come out once you remove this. If you don't remove this, then this will happen. This basically just ripped off from there. I didn't do this. It was like that. But yeah, it like basically ripped off of the whole cushion, which is not a bad thing. It can still be snapped in, but it's just an extra anchor right there. So that's the update. And then as I continue to progress more forward, then I'll record some more. Alright guys, so here goes another update. So I removed the left section of the panel, and I removed the rear bottom portions of the seats. So you just unbolt the 10 millimeter bolts. Like I said, one of them was already messed up, so I didn't have to remove this because this one was already ripped off of the seat. Like I said, just be careful when doing this because that could happen to you. It was already like that when I got it. I know I said it was the right side, but the right side was just bent upwards and it wasn't bolted down right. But that was my fault. But that side was already like ripped off. I think whoever did this, I don't know when, but when they pulled off on the front, they must have just yanked out the undersiding of the seat, not realizing that there was a bolt ton loose right there. But as you can see, put your hand right in the center there, and then put your right or left hand wherever on the other side, and just yank up, and it'll just snap right up. There's going to be some Seras that they have 3-point seats, and you have to unbolt something. My car doesn't have that. It just has lap seat belts, so I'm not going to remove any of that. Okay, so now to get on to this part, to how I remove this right here is I'm going to show you on this one. So I unscrewed a screw right there. It's a Phillips head screwdriver. There's going to be a 10 mil bolt. Don't touch that. You don't need to touch that. And then you just grab that trim tool remover or a flathead and just pop that off. That just pries right off. This gets pried out. I used a flathead, so I'll show you guys. There's a cap that goes into here, and it just snaps right in. It was already indented, so I think someone else must have used a screwdriver, so I used the same flathead and I just popped it out. And from there, it was a 10 millimeter bolt. And then if you look down here, you can see there's a 10 millimeter bolt right there, and there's another 10 millimeter bolt right there. So there's gonna be two of them. Make sure you remove them. I'm not too sure if there's something else right here. Mine never came with one on both sides, but if there is, it does hold it in place to the body. So it was never there. I think it was a screw or something. And there's going to be a screw right here. I removed that screw. I don't know if that holds on to anything, to be honest. I don't think you have to remove it, but I just removed it just to be safe. And then as you're going to be prying up, everything's going to be loose from there on out. You just pull this up. Pull up this weather stripping. And then from here, you get to pry up with like a screwdriver. And then when you get enough room, you can just pull up on it because there's going to be some tabs. There's going to be these tabs. They're going to be seated. They're going to be seated in here. And all you have to do is pull up on them. And when you pull up on them, the whole piece is going to move over to the side. And then you can just pull it right out. Make sure to not just yank it out because it needs to clear this. Once you clear it out to the right, then you can just pull it right out. And then from there, there's going to be the two rear hatch struts. I mean, not the hatch struts, I'm sorry. The two rear struts bolts to hold on the rear struts in place. I'm sorry, I'm trying to make this as sensible as possible. Okay, so If you can see back here, it's going to be the rear strut. And then here goes the two, I believe these are 12 millimeter nuts that are holding it in place. And then this whole piece should just come down. And that's what you have to do to get for the rear struts for the car. You have to remove a bunch of trim pieces in order to get to there. Alright guys, so this is the rear struts. So there's one right there, there's one right there. And they're held on by two 12 millimeter nuts on the top. And on the bottom, there is a 14 millimeter nut held on by there, and there's going to be a 14 millimeter bolt held on right there. So that's for the bottom portion. Okay guys, so this is the update. I removed the 14 mil bolt and a nut sitting down there. And up here, I removed both 12 millimeter nuts. Now what I did was, I used a 12 millimeter wrench, and I linked it up with a 13 mil wrench so I can get extra grip. So it will go like this. So it will sit like this, and then the wrench will sit like this, and then you see it will be combined. So as I'm turning it left, this is extra grip right here. While this is sitting right here, you can just pull on that and then it'll be extra grip. So that's how I did it. I did both sides. And what I did was, since my struts were so blown, I just jacked up the car. I jacked it up from the rear beam, and it like compressed the struts. And what happened was, when it compressed it, these struts don't open up again. The springs try to help it open up, but I had enough time to jack it up as much as I could. Then I released the jack, and then they were staying compressed. So what I did was, I removed the 14 mil bolt, and as I removed that, the strut just came right out. And this is the comparison. So this one is the Pt.2 rear strut, and this is sitting side by side next to the OEM Sera strut. And as you can see, it's literally identical. The notches are identical, and the height is identical. So once I install this, I'll definitely see if there's a great improvement, which it will be. And I want to see if there's any noises it makes or anything, but it looks to be exactly the same. So I'm very happy about that, because it's kind of hard finding Sera parts in the United States. So yeah, that's that update. And then when I install it, then I'll show you guys that. Okay guys, so I went through a bump in my installation, and I thought that I was just going to have to stick with the old the old struts. As you can see, these are the old struts. It's pretty hard to push them down, but they don't come back up. So I know that they're done. They're like really done for. So the reason why I'm recording this part is because I already installed one side. As you can see, I installed that side, but I had to do some modifications. The Pt.2's rear strut is much wider and much bigger than the OEM Sera strut. So you guys can see it's really, I can't really put it side by, hold on. You can see even the top is like much bigger. So the spring sits very nicely. The only thing is the bump stop. If you try to put the bump stop on there, let me try to put this on. Sorry. So it'll go in, but then it will stop right there. It won't go in all the way for you to screw on your nut. So with that, you guys might, it's up to you guys what you guys want to do, but what I did was I just took this bottom portion and I kept it on there, because the bottom portion sits right there. I tried modifying one. As you can see, I cut the top bump stops and I tried putting them one by one. Now the top won't fit in general because there's like a bearing in there, and I couldn't really shave it off. And so what I did was I just put the bottom portion with the middle bump stop, but it would not go down. The middle bump stop will come all the way up to here. And then when you put the top hat on, the top hat will just sit up here and you can't really screw anything on there. So what I did was I just removed these top two by cutting it off with like a box cutter. And I just cut it off, and I just used the bottom portion right there. Now, like I said, it's up to you guys what you guys want to do, but that's what I did on that side. And another thing I did, this top hat was way too small to fit through there also. So this little bearing right here, it goes through there, it gets pressed in. I used some wire cutters to grab onto it very, like, you know, with like a lot of pressure. And then I just twisted it out. So now the top hat of the Sera, hold on, let me show you guys. The top hat fits with no problem without that bearing. If that bearing is in there, then there's a problem. And another thing I had to do, this is what I have to go through. I mean, in those who live in the States that has a Sera and is trying to look for rear struts or shocks, this is what I had to do to fit them. As you can see, my it's like it's gone. It's not even moving up at all. It's still down. There's another thing. There's a little top plate that comes in the Sera. It sits right here. I had to Dremel the center, so the center would not fit. It will literally fit right here, and it'll stop right there. If I put it on there, it will stop right there, and I could not screw anything on there. So as you can see, I modified it so it can fit, because before I was just gonna screw this on, but the rubber portion on the bottom kept on like crunching up, and it was not screwing at all. So I just modified this with a Dremel, and how I did it was I grabbed the Dremel and I put it on the highest setting, and don't hold this with your hand because it's going to get really hot, but I held this with a vice grip, and I just kept on going over it. I had the strut right next to me, and I kept on putting the ring on top of it, just trying to measure it to fine measure it, like a fine measurement so it could be precise. Not precise, but like, you know, good enough. So it won't be too loose, but it'll be nice and tight. So the fitment's very tight on this one and the other one that I just did. And now everything's going to be put back together. This was a big, you know, bump in my routine because I did not expect this to happen. I mean, I kind of did, but not this much. So, I mean, installation, once everything's set and done, it's really easy. It's just three bolts. I mean, 2 nuts and 1 bolt, and then that nut that connects to the bolt. It's really simple. It's just this took a lot of time to do, to properly fit everything onto here. I'm sorry this is taking a while for me to explain, but I just wanted to explain it to those who will go through this problem if they want to get a Pt.2 rear strut and try to fit it onto the Sera, or they can just go another route and just get it from overseas or something. I'm not too sure, but that's what I did. It looks like it's gonna ride okay, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm definitely gonna give an update after the installation, and then I'll do a separate update, like for the front and rear struts. I'm gonna just do a separate drive update and just tell you guys how it is. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know this, and then, you know, I'm gonna end off the video with it installed, and I'll let you guys know how it sits, and then I'll make a separate video on it driving. So sorry for this long explanation, but this is what I had to go through. So once again, I'm sorry, but yeah, that's the problem. All right, guys, so I'm out in the Sera right now. I finished up the rear struts, and as you can see, fits nice and terrific. I don't know if that's a saying, sits in there really good. I have no issues. I have no issues with this, and I feel really, really good about the modifications I did. So, sits very nice. It rides very smooth. What I do have to mention is the Pt.2 struts are much beefier than the Sera struts. I didn't mention that when I was doing the installation, and why I had to modify stuff is because the piston itself was much beefier than the stock Sera ones. So if you do, I mean, I guess it's kind of an upgrade. I mean, I upgraded the struts on this car, so the car rides much, not firmer, but it rides really good. It rides like, I guess you could say much firmer, but it's not harsh like the car's lowered or anything, but it feels really good around corners. And other than that, I'm really, really happy with this outcome. And like I said, basically for part 3, I suppose, I can just make a review on how they ride. So I'll do that. But yeah, guys, if you guys enjoy this video, sorry if it's long again, but that's, I wanted to split into 2 parts. But I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video I put up, which will be pretty soon. Alright guys, take care.